I'm Teneale.
And I'm Kelsey, and we're financial advisors from 𝐴𝑙𝑚𝑎𝑛 Partners True Wealth, bringing you thought-provoking conversations around you, your money and your life on the Wealth Experience podcast. Hi listeners, thank you for tuning back in for another episode. So something that's always stuck with me, Teneale, is that every human being has 24 hours in a day. And I wonder about what different people do with their 24 hours and if there's then a common theme among those individuals that are financially successful and how this interplays with mental and physical health too. And maybe people that aren't as financially successful, is there something about their routines that could be improved? Because there's a lot of content out there around this sort of topic. Yeah. Is it something you ever think about or have looked into around
I think, habits? Yeah. I guess time's such a commodity, right? And when I've thought about time in a context of how you actually use it, it's more like, I don't know, I read something once and I'm very bad at remembering where or how it came up, but it spoke about a shorter day and, you know, maybe it was a 16-hour day because you sleep for 8 hours a day. I mean, most of the time I get 8 hours of sleep, but that's probably a common amount of sleep. And so you're only awake for 16, take out 8 to 10 hours of working and commuting, and that leaves like 6 to 8 hours for exercise and rest and spending time with loved ones and all those other things. So for me, it is a lot about, you know, how do you allocate it to make a difference and to utilize it well. Yeah.
And I think it's, even in you just saying that now, it makes me think that, you know, if you're conscious of it, if you know that you've only got this amount of time versus somebody that's not really thinking in a time-based manner. Yeah. You're more conscious of what you do with it.
Definitely.
Right?
I mean, Frances, when she was speaking on our podcast about philanthropy a little while back, she was talking about either committing your financial resources or your time resources. And it's the truth of the matter is that it is a massive resource that you need you don't need to, but it's good to make the best use of that.
Absolutely.
So you can feel achieved and whatnot.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the reason that it kind of sparked my interest and I was inspired to talk about this on the podcast tonight was that I'd seen, there was a picture the other day of Mark Wahlberg, the famous actor, of his daily schedule.
Just an aside. Yeah. We went to Wahlburger. Because that's Mark Wahlberg's burger joint.
Now, is it?
Well, there's one down on the Gold Coast that we went to. Okay. And it was such an amazing burger. I'm not you know me, I'm pretty healthy. I really don't eat burgers and stuff, but this burger, I inhaled it. So hats off.
Okay, that must mean that it's good then, because you don't really eat burgers. Shout out to Mark Wahlberg then. But on the daily routine, in summary, he effectively said that he wakes up about 2 a.m. in the morning. He did a whole bunch of stuff during the day and he went to bed by 7 p.m, which I think in itself is quite unusual for people. But he's getting up at 2 a.m.
Yeah,
right?
No thank you.
But when you take a look at what he was actually doing, only 3 hours of that day was working. Right? So a lot of the other stuff that he was doing was actually dedicated to self-care. So, you know, mental, physical, spiritual as well. So he was kind of ticking all of these boxes and he's a financially successful person. But then you go...
What came first?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So I wonder, did he have these types of routines before his success or has he now been afforded to have days like that now? And I think that was a lot of the commentary that I'd seen on his post. Like, what normal person can do that? If we could all work for 3 hours a day and spend the rest of the time meditating, amazing, but we obviously can't. But I just thought, it was really interesting, and that's just one example. And certainly there's a lot of information out there now that shows that there is themes and trends that make up the day in the life of a millionaire, or, you know, sometimes referred to as the millionaire mindset, that perhaps we could all get some benefit from implementing in our lives if we want more. And it's not just down to financial success, it's whatever success looks like for you as well, I guess. But let's unpack that today, Teneale. But before we do that, what does a typical day look like for you?
Well, first, I go to the bank, I withdraw $500,000, I jump on my yacht, I spend it on my crew, and I get 12 hours back a day. Then I'm totally being facetious here. I'm thinking from a millionaire's mindset. But in seriousness, it's not nearly as glamorous as that. I start at 6 a.m. Here's a caveat for you. A colleague actually asked me this week if I wanted to meet at 6 a.m. for a coffee catch-up. I'm not good at saying no, but I definitely said no to this. I am definitely a night owl, not a morning bird. So I spend a good chunk of my morning, probably the first almost 2 hours of my day, getting myself ready and my son ready for the day. We have eggs on toast every morning, which Todd cooks for us, and I really I love that. I love waking up in the morning and having that ready for me. Like I said, you probably don't want to see me early in the morning because I'm not the most bright and bubbly person. But I do all the normal stuff. So feed the dog and the cat and take the bins out and vacuum the floors and pack lunches. And I know that multitasking is supposed to reduce effectiveness, but I do check, communication. So I might check emails or Teams while I'm having breakfast because that helps me sort of prepare my routine for the day. Then at school, drop off, into work, straight into, client meetings, team meetings. I cram a lot into the time that I actually am physically in the office because, 50% of the time I do the school run in the afternoons. So then afternoons consist of training and exercise 4 out of the 5 weekdays, followed by, my share of the load at home. So half the time I'll cook and clean. We do showers, we do family catch-up time, jump back into work later on after that and maybe checking emails and doing the items that I can't complete in the office. Sleep's usually around 10 p.m. If I can try and get that full 8 hours in, I'm trying to go to bed by 10 p.m. That's try optimal word there. And then weekends are obviously a little bit different, but exercise on both days, family and friends catch-ups, washing, groceries, blah, 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 blah.
So you do prioritise. There is a level of prioritisation of you within that though, to allow you, because obviously you're operating quite a high level, you're a high functioning person, you're spending a lot of time at work as a business
very
owner,
routine.
All of those sorts of things. You've obviously got a good strict routine, but you still make sure you go, I need time for exercise, I need 100%. Time for family.
100%.
And that's really important.
Because I'm not a great person if I don't have those things, right? Like if I find that because things will change, and some days you just naturally need to spend more time, whether it's work-based, whether it's family-based, whatever the case may be. But if one of those areas starts slipping, that's when, and I get out of those routines, that's when I can start getting, the cranky side of Teneale comes out instead of the light bubbly side, and nobody needs that.
So routine is important. So that's one thing we've definitely established. Routine is an absolute must, and obviously being really diligent in planning your day and knowing what you've got to get through and making sure that happens within the time frames is how you bring it all together. But let's see how that contrasts then to what apparently is the typical day of a millionaire.
Oh,
and this
goodness.
is going to look different. This is going to look different for everyone, okay? So obviously there's going to be people that are millionaires, depending on what you do, how you make your money, that your days are going to look different. But there's themes. There's themes apparently.
I wonder if the same translates to billionaires. I wonder if it translates upwards. That'll be a good segment for another day.
Maybe, we should look into that.
Yeah.
I did actually start researching this as billionaires.
Yeah.
But then I thought,
we take the steps.
Step back to reality. We're really going to get there. Let's have a look at millionaires and start there. So what I wanted to focus on, there's a really good article from Forbes, and they'd actually gone out and done some research and spoke to millionaires and pulled some information together around what the trends were of people that are millionaires. So let's just tack a couple of the big ones. And the first one is they have a sacred morning ritual. So the idea of this is that you start off your morning strong and how you mean to go on for the rest of the day. So this is sometimes known as the miracle morning for people that have looked into all this sort of stuff without trying to get too... I don't know the right word for it.
We're definitely getting into that meditative side of things.
Yeah.
It sounds very lovely.
All it's saying is that people start off with the intention of how they mean to go on for the rest of the day, and they dedicate about 30 to 60 minutes for themselves for mind, body and soul.
Yeah, okay.
So before you've done anything else, that's what they're focusing on. So it's kind of like almost positioning yourself in the right mind frame to be able to do the things that you need for the rest of your day is what that tells me.
Yeah, giving your head that clarity. Yeah.
Well, for a lot of people, this would mean that you'd have to wake up early, right? So to fit that in for most of us, especially if you've got kids, you're going to have to get up at least 3-4 o'clock in the morning to have an hour of...
Or you can work till midnight. We just do the opposite. So Mark Wahlberg goes 2 to 7 and we can go from lunchtime to midnight. No, it was going to have to be longer than that.
Yeah. And so this is obviously going to be really hard for certain people depending on your situation to implement. But I think it's a really good one because I think it sets the tone for the rest of your day. Nothing's happened yet. I always think about that. Of a morning, nothing's happened yet. So you've had your sleep. It's a new day. Yeah. You should be at peak positivity and your lowest stress levels. Technically, you should be, right? And in an ideal world for me, Teneale, I would get up early. I'd go outside in the sun, have coffee for 10, 15 minutes and set the intention for the day and think about what needs to happen, which is usually when I generate a list.
What time do you wake up?
About 5:30, 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's not too
but
early,
I'm lucky. My daughter sleeps in now till about 6:30.
Yeah.
So again, it depends on the day. And this is me talking about an ideal day, right?
So you get a little bit of peace there in the morning.
Yeah. This is an ideal day. And I'm about to have another one, so this is going to be thrown right out the bag. It's not going to work
you'll be
like
up
this
really
anymore.
early then.
A bit extra. Maybe I do the 2 till 7 shift like Mark Wahlberg.
But then who's going to do the rest of the shift?
I don't know. Just keep going. But then I feel like, I'm ready to tackle the day. But what I definitely do of a morning, and I am a morning person, I'm a bit opposite like that. I am a morning person, and I do get up and I go and exercise for the day. And I find that really helps set the tone of how I feel. I feel achieved. I've done something for myself.
Yeah.
I feel like I've got, everything out of me and my body and I'm feeling good. I've got my good endorphins flowing and then I feel ready to attack my day. So I do implement a little bit of that, but I think there's also an element of stress that can get added in that routine too, because what that means is for me to make it to work at a reasonable time, I have to be a drill sergeant at home to get everybody up and ready.
You must be running and have things planned the day before. And I don't know how you get your hair looking nice. Like, I know that's such a girly thing to say, but if I work out in the morning, I'm going to look like a mess for the day.
Well, at the minute, I'm 37 weeks pregnant. So when I'm exercising, I'm not sweating too much at this point in time, so I don't have to wash it every time. But yeah, there's definitely a scramble to get out the door, but there's things that I do to try and make that a lot smoother. So every night before I go to bed, I'll have the school bag packed, I'll have my gym bag packed, I'll have our clothes out and ready to go. Everything's by the door.
Yeah.
I know what we're having for breakfast.
Yeah. So you're like the opposite of me. You got your stuff sorted already.
Yeah. So it's grab and go.
Yeah.
Grab and go. And I think I've been really good at kind of implementing that my daughter now knows the routine.
Yeah.
So And also one thing I also do, because I think a lot of people slowly wake up, look at their phone, they'll do some scrolling on their phone for a little. I don't do that. My alarm goes off, I'm up.
Yeah.
So it's probably about 45 minutes from being up till I'm out the door.
Yeah, okay.
Sometimes an hour.
Yeah.
It really does depend on my daughter because 3-year-olds.
Hats off. That does seem like it's like you're on the ball straight up.
Yeah. But I think that's for me. I prefer my mornings to go like that, and that works. But again, that's not possible for everybody, and I'm going to have to find a new world when we have two, because that's not going to happen.
What are you going to do if you have one that wakes up at like 5 a.m. every day and one at 6:30? I've never had to think about this, but that must be really tough to try and manage because the boys wake up earlier than me. So my husband and my son, they both are early morning people. Like I say, Todd's off to work before I am, but I get to sleep in, which works. So they're the morning people, and I'm the nighttime person. But it must be hard when there's houses that have people on all different.
I think we're pretty fortunate that my partner's on the same page as me. He's a morning person too.
Yeah.
He's actually usually up, 5:30 is his latest. So
yeah, okay.
It works until the next baby comes along and they decide that they're up all night. So I think it just depends. Yeah, it depends on the routine of your household. And I think maybe you tend to find that as a family, you do have similar routines to each other.
It's weird though because I guess it's different for everyone. I've literally never thought about this, but so when we had Leo, me being a nighttime person, I was cool with getting up during the night and doing changes and feeds and all of those kinds of things. So long as, because Todd's a morning person, so long as he could do that 3, 4, 5, that kind of time frame there when don't wake me up. Like that's when I'm deep sleeping. That's it for me.
Yeah.
So maybe there isn't a best or a one size or a...
I don't know if there is. And I think, we've had it before. I know we spoke about it with some of the ladies at the office previously, in that, you know, someone said to me once, oh, geez, I feel bad because by the time I drag myself into work, you've already done all these things of a morning. But at the same time, you know, I'm switching off a lot earlier than perhaps what they are. So they're just rejigging
I get
the
in
time
trouble
frames.
all the time. So I'm constantly having people telling me that I'm lazy because I don't like to get up early in the mornings. But I don't tell anybody that they're lazy for going to bed at 8 p.m. when I'm up at 10 or 11.
Yeah, still going.
Yeah.
Sending your emails off.
That's right. That's right. Because I'm one of the fortunate ones. I do wake up slowly in the mornings. Like I said, the boys are already up. So for the first 45 minutes, I get this beautiful uninterrupted time when I'm slowly doing my makeup and my hair and getting dressed and doing all of those things. And the boys are usually out having their breakfast or a coffee on the deck, and they're quietly catching up together. So they're kind of getting, I've never really put those two things together, but they're kind of getting their, what you're talking about in the morning, getting their sacred morning ritual is them doing that quiet space. And mine is just being uninterrupted and putting a face on so I don't scare everyone.
And maybe it's not a morning ritual, but having some sort of ritual that's time for you.
That you're not having to rush and do whatever,
You're
or
either
that you're
up
at
and-
peace or
up and ready for the day or ready to switch off for the day.
Yeah. But when I'm getting the place all sorted out and packing the bag or doing the vacuuming or whatever, I do find that, you know, Todd's already off to work. Leo's quietly doing whatever he needs to be doing, so making his bed or packing his bag or playing toys while I'm telling him, hey, make your bed, pack your bag. But I'll put on my favorite country music channel, and that kind of just relaxes me. And I do feel like it's a really calm, quiet state.
So you get in your morning peace.
Yeah, that's lucky, isn't it? Yeah.
And as we say, this is going to look different for everybody, but somehow if you're going to be a millionaire, you need a sacred morning ritual. So something to think about. But
so every morning, this is the thing, we'll be sitting in our morning ritual states going, I'm doing my 30, 45 minutes. Come on, where's the dollars in the bank?
Stop your alarm, get up out of bed and move. Put down your phone. Yeah. So I think, this is going to look different for everybody. But it's an interesting point. I think there certainly is a lot of information out there that does say people that are financially successful do get up early.
Yeah, okay.
For whatever.
All right,
whatever
so
reason.
I shouldn't
maybe
keep
there's
pushing
some science behind that. Maybe someone that's listening can give us some more information. They might
I'd
be
love
aware of
that.
that. There's some science behind that. Maybe how your brain works in the morning.
Yeah, I'd love that.
But let's move on to another one. So, Teneale, let's go through the second point there then. That was on Forbes.
All right. When we're looking at this, I actually thought this was really interesting. So according to the cohort that Forbes interviewed, long before these individuals actually became millionaires, they were crystal clear on what their values were and their life goals were. And this is such an interesting one because this is what we talk about a lot on our podcast when it comes to making financial plans and getting you to what your true wealth is. And we do have a saying at 𝐴𝑙𝑚𝑎𝑛, referring to Walt Disney, when your values are clear, your decisions are easy. Yeah, so I think this is a great
Again,
example.
I love this one. So what they're doing is they're identifying their most important tasks for the day based on their values and their goals.
Yeah.
And obviously being very clear and diligent
Yeah.
about that. So I do really love this. It's almost like saying if you're living by your values, then naturally you move in the direction that you're supposed to be in a positive manner. You're not going against the grain of your life, which ultimately should lead you in the direction of success and whatever that looks like for you.
And that's probably giving you a lot of glass half full sort of approach to things as well, in that we've all got things that have to be done throughout the day, but if they're items that take you closer to your goals, so whether that's I've got to go to work for the next 8 to 10 hours, but it's something that I need to do to fulfill X, Y, and Z goals, and it aligns with my value set as well, then you should be able to derive more success out of it, right?
Yeah, exactly right. And, I think it's a little bit like Kaizen, isn't it? They're able to identify, well, my long-term goals are X, Y, Z, and this is based on the values and the things that I want to achieve. So it might be, my family is really important to me. And, but as a family, having this type of lifestyle is really important so we can have all these experiences together. When that's front of mind all the time, everything that you're doing, the decisions that you're making on a daily basis become easier.
Yeah.
You've got really clear direction on what you're trying to achieve. So it's kind of like going, well, my most important task for the day is this one, because this is what's going to move me closer to my goals and in line with my values, which is just, it's so interesting. And again, I know everybody doesn't have
makes sense, right?
It does. It really, really does. So yeah, I thought this was really interesting to be thinking of, because they're almost always looking at their future self, right? And delayed gratification, again, it comes up time and time again. We always
keyword,
speak
bing,
about
bing,
it.
bing.
Yeah, we got it in again. But yeah, I think that's obviously a big theme of what they're doing. They're thinking about their future self, not thinking about their here and now.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they're able to identify,
there's something that I need
what
to
am I
do for
doing
me?
right now
Yeah.
that's important for the future.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a skill in itself,
Yeah.
I think it would seem.
Yeah.
And
And even just having that understanding that, like we were talking about before, if I've got a routine and I've got the daily grind and these are the things that I have to do, there's still got to be self-care that I put in there for my exercise, meditative state, hobbies, loved ones, family, friends. That is critical, because without that, it's going to feel like I'm delaying gratification entirely, and I'm not looking at today's, version of me at all.
Absolutely. And it could be in the little things, right? You could go, well, and this probably happens to us more often, but we're going, our days are just completely chock-a-block with stuff that we've got to do. But I've also got this competing priority now where I've got to attend my child's performance at 3 p.m.
Yeah.
And, I probably could do without that, but that's important to me. So the decision that I make on that day around what my most important task is what's the best thing for the long-term future, whilst I can still get out of here early to go and do that. That's important to me. Everything else can wait until tomorrow when that's not on the cards. But you're also then approaching the next day with a bit more clarity and a bit less stress, because you can go, oh, do you know what? I've done the right thing for me, and therefore I can function better today as a human being with a bit more clarity, rather than being stressed. And that can manifest itself in many ways. It could be if you didn't do that, did you go home and, you had a falling out with your child because you weren't there and now you feel terrible, or you had an argument with your partner because you're working long hours and not giving them attention. Yeah. That impacts you on the next day, and maybe then you're not at peak performance.
Yeah, that's right. There's a lot of mindfulness in this, isn't there? Yeah, being aware. There's aware of the state that keeps you doing the things that you love doing, and having the relationships with those that you value.
Yeah. Everything's very intentional.
Yeah.
And so point number 3 that was on the list on the Forbes article was that millionaires work on their most important tasks, called a 𝐼𝐸T. So put that out there as an acronym for you.
Most important task, 𝐼𝐸T.
Early in the morning and without interruptions.
Come on now, you're just doing
It's
this
early
to
morning
bait
stuff.
me.
But I think it does make sense. Again, there is some evidence that I've looked into. Again, I'm not a medical professional, but you've got higher cognitive ability, more attention and more focus. And I think we can all feel that. You can get to the end of the day and you're just like, I probably shouldn't be working on the most complex thing at this time of the day, because you're more fatigued. Is this just me? I feel like this is just me.
I'm not with you on this one, because I know that they also talk about the fact that multitasking is not a good thing. Successful people actually just do one task at a time. And I know, Kelsey, I know you're a big believer in that. But this one's interesting for me, because right now we're multitasking. I'm breathing, I'm talking, I'm mindful of the fact that the air conditioner's running a little bit colder, so I'm getting a little bit cold in this area. I'm hearing the sounds. We're checking the sound levels. All these different things at one point in time. So everybody is inevitably multitasking to some level all the time, even when you're sleeping, because you're breathing and you're sleeping. So I've always thought
we've got to train ourselves then, have we, to get better at multitasking?
Well,
maybe that's the key.
I've always thought that multitasking, when it comes to mundane level tasks, seems to make sense. But I do agree that if you're doing something that needs focus time, multitasking can't work.
Yeah.
There's no way that I can write a complex client strategy if I've got you know, somebody asking me a question in one ear and I'm trying to read emails at the same point in time or anything like that. So I definitely agree with that.
I think this is what this one is probably pertaining to, right? In that the most important task is probably that big, chunky, hairy, horrible, complex thing.
Yeah.
That needs doing.
Yeah.
And you should just do that in the morning.
Yeah.
And then you can multitask for the rest of the day. That's fine.
Yeah. Again, the morning though gets me. I don't know. I don't think I can quite get there. So I like the whole eat the frog theory.
Yeah.
Where you pick off that biggest task, you get it out of the way. It's a challenge for me because my whole day's flipped the other way, and I'll do those big tasks in phase 2 of my day, right? So because phase one is get ready for the day, go in, client meetings, team meetings, all of that. So they're important tasks, but I wouldn't say that's like a big important task. They're just they're scheduled in, and I know what, and I'm prepared ahead of time for them and everything like that. But then phase 2 of my day is after I've exercised. Maybe that's the golden key here, because I've done my exercise. It's re-energized me. When I come back off the end of my exercise, I'm more of a nighttime person. At that stage, at like from 6 o'clock at night onwards, I'm actually like, I'm ready to hit something big. Let's give me a big chunky task, and I can just boom, 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 get through it when I'm in a quiet zone. So I guess the multitasking does make a lot of sense. Everything's quiet. Nobody's bugging me. I just get in, do that task that needs my focus time then. So that I feel like I'm in agreement now, but just maybe with a twist. I put the Teneale twist on it.
Yeah. and again, I think it all depends on the nature of what you do, right? Because if you change things around and you said, well, I'm just going to reshuffle my diary now and go, I'm not seeing any clients, I'm not having any internal meetings, I'm not doing anything until lunchtime so I can eat the frog in the morning. Well, by the time you actually get to, and what's important in your role is the people.
Yes, correct.
People are checking out and going, no, you can't be calling people at 8, 9 o'clock at night saying, I'm ready to. So you've got to flex and make that work for your situation.
Yeah, I like that. I guess I've never really thought about it that way. You're right. Yeah. I can admit when I'm
That's
wrong.
what I told you we'd like these conversations. I knew we would like this one. It's really interesting. So point number 4, let's keep this going. So the point number 4 was millionaires eliminate meetings or they keep them as short as possible. And what they do is they make suggestions on actually banning meetings on certain days and on certain times in the week. And so I'm assuming that what we're reading between the lines here, don't do this in the morning because you're doing all these other things as a millionaire in the morning. Of course, unless that is the MIT.
Yeah.
So if the meeting is the MIT, then do it first thing in the morning. If the meeting isn't the MIT, move it to later in the day is what this one is kind of informing us. What's your thoughts on this one, Teneale?
I think
because we have meetings.
Oh, we've got meetings. We've got lots of meetings. Yeah, I love it. Practicality is always hard, but that's the joy in all of this, isn't there? Is finding that you've got to constantly work on it to make it right for you, because unless you're in charge of your own schedule and the whole world revolves around your needs, and I suppose the more money you have, perhaps the more likely that might be, but
chicken and egg situation though then, isn't it?
Yeah, but you've been saying through that oftentimes these kinds of people that are financially successful have had these practices even before then. So I think the theory of being mindful of time, that resonates a lot with me. So if every person held others accountable in our inclusive need for time, we would find that a lot of meetings could be shortened or simply removed. Like, how many times have you been called? Whether this doesn't even have to. This is not just a work related thing, but you know, the doctor needs to see you about X, Y, and Z. Well, do they need to see me?
Or can we just have a quick phone call?
Or can we have a quick phone call?
So I don't have to drive and park. Yes.
And I guess the way that you go about those meetings then too. So standing meetings, walking meetings. I'm a massive fan if somebody comes up to my desk and interrupts me at my workstation, that I'll say, hey, let's just go and grab a quick coffee and talk, because then I'm multitasking. I'm getting my break away from the work, getting the coffee or the glass of water, whatever it is, but is that multitasking again? I guess it's not those really important tasks though. It's just a quick.
It might not be
catch-up.
multitasking. It's probably just if you're getting up and you're walking away. It's kind of like saying you're stopping what you're doing and resetting your brain to focus on this new conversation that you're now having, a walking meeting about something else. But I think it's a tricky one. This one did get me thinking. I was thinking about this when I was driving yesterday, because the world that we live in now, if we're talking about meetings, we're talking about as a company, you might jump on a Teams meeting or a Zoom meeting as the whole team. We do these things, and those meetings sometimes become the opportunity for everybody to get together and talk and chat. Because it's a
different world, isn't it? Previously, everyone's all, usually the same location. They have water cooler talks and...
Can you imagine stepping into a meeting? I think it's a fine line, because you want everybody at the start of the meeting perhaps, have a bit of a chat. How's everyone going? How's everyone feel?
You want to have relationships.
You want to have relationships.
Yeah.
Can you imagine going to a meeting and going, right, let's go.
Point of call. Yeah.
Some people might like that. Quietly, I would probably like that.
Maybe it's purposefulness about the purpose of the meeting is. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. So if the purpose of the meeting is to get everybody together, then you probably want to have a level of that. If it's a board meeting, you probably don't want to have that. It's let's get down to business. But anyway, I thought that was interesting, and the concept of a standing or a walking meeting, I think, is interesting. But I wonder how, they're saying that they eliminate meetings.
Yeah.
How do you do that? If you're a millionaire, again, maybe you've got a whole team of people that do that for you and they just report back.
Yeah.
Millionaires, tell us, how do you eliminate meetings from your life and be financially successful?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think maybe they just make a call and go, no, I'm too busy or too important, and I'm not going to do that right now, and you can schedule it in through...
Maybe it's about... do you know what? Maybe it's about going, this isn't for me. I don't actually...
Yeah, that's
I
very
don't need
true.
to be in this meeting. And I have trusted people that look after these things. It's other people.
And there's definitely an art in a team environment, being able to bring people along for the journey, giving the opportunity for others to be able to be successful in their own right, and knowing that brings more success for you as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
well,
empowering
it's
people.
Interesting. So often, so these are the ones that was on the Forbes article that I quite liked. But when I was doing my research, there was lots of other traits of millionaires that I sort of come across, and I'm going to go back to what we've kind of talked about, and that's exercise.
Yes, we've spoken a bit about exercise today.
We have, but it seems that all financially successful people, not all, but most of, have some level of disciplined exercise regime that they incorporate into their days.
Well, you can argue that being disciplined with your body, if you're going to be disciplined with your money, you're building really good habits by being disciplined with your body, because it's the same thing. I'm setting a goal for myself. I'm keeping myself accountable to it, and my results are X, Y, and Z. I can run 6 kilometers, or I can whatever it might be. Yeah.
So I'm going to hit you some facts, because I thought let me try and understand this. Why is the exercise working? What's within that? So there was a habit there was a study by Rich Habits, and 76% of the millionaires that they interviewed ran or jogged for 30 minutes a day, about 4 days a week.
Oh,
76%. So that's telling me this is one of the key factors. And I'm going, okay, well, why is this? So I'm not a medical expert. I'd love to have someone on to talk about this, by the way. So if this is your niche, come on and talk to us about it, because it's an area of interest for us too, personally.
Yes.
But here's some did you knows. So exercise increases the oxygen to your brain, which in turn nourishes your brain cells, gets rid of free radicals in your brain. So therefore, surely you would have clearer thinking. 30 minutes of aerobic exercise every day has been found in numerous studies to stimulate the growth of the axon branches of each brain cell. No idea what that is, guys.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, it sounds good. But the number of axon branches that you have is directly correlated, apparently, to how intelligent you are. So more axon branches in the brain cells, the more intelligent you are than those with less. Okay. So if aerobic
and you can
exercise
grow
is
those.
promoting that, which is
Yeah.
supported by the 76% of millionaires that are running and jogging 4 days a week.
Okay. So we can make ourselves smarter by...
You can make yourself smarter by running. This is amazing.
Todd, are you listening?
It's like a limitless pill. Just keep running. You'll get smarter.
Because I love the cardio side of it. And I jog before every exercise.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have this conversation about how beneficial that actually is versus, because there's different types of exercise.
Stats.
Well, I'm getting
Did you
smarter.
know? Yeah, exactly. You can tell them about your accent branches. But there's also more information here about aerobic exercise that I found that it increases the blood flow into, and I'm definitely going to be saying this wrong, so I apologise in advance, 𝗫𝗏𝗫𝐺𝑖𝑟𝑢𝑠?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Never heard of it.
Most importantly, it's a part of the brain's hippocampus, which is a region that is involved in memory formation and neurogenesis, which is new brain cell creation.
Okay.
So again, aerobic exercise. This isn't good for me. I like weightlifting personally. So when the baby's out,
But can you get aerobic? So again, we're going down a whole different area. But can't you get aerobic exercise from low level weights, lots of reps?
You do.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
That's just not.
It's just not you. That's not your flow zone.
Oh, look, pre-baby, probably a bit like you. Pre being heavily pregnant. Before I'd hit my session, I'd be doing 10, 15 minutes of jogging.
Yeah.
So I'm still doing that.
Yeah.
So
But you need 30. You want to be a millionaire, you got to have 30.
okay, that's where I'm going wrong. Damn. But I thought, that was really interesting. And again, another one here. This is the last fact I'll hit you with about exercise. But aerobic exercise stimulates the production of brain-derived neurotrophic factor (BDFN).
On. No, this is way too many.
I don't know what this.
terms
I don't
now.
know. I don't know what this is. But anyway, BDFN. Is a miracle grow for brain cells, apparently, which keeps your brain cells growing and expanding. So all of these facts, these different complex medical terms that we're referring to, that we have no idea what they are, is telling us that aerobic exercise tackles each of these things, which ultimately makes you
So if you want
smarter.
a big brain, you need to work out.
Yep.
Yeah, and get the blood flowing is what I'm hearing from that. And
But think about what we've been talking about. So if I do my exercise in the morning, I can get in and hit my mitt.
Yeah.
Because my brain has just been exercised and I've got my new cells. You do your exercise of an afternoon and then hit your mitt.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, there's
So
some
it's showing there's a
correlation there.
correlation, right?
Okay.
So anyway, exercise is a...
We're getting the data analysis on this too.
Yeah.
And I got to say, we don't know what any of these things are. And we're and I
This is a bit of fun.
Yeah, this has all been a bit of fun. And if you exercise, I'm not going to drop $1 million into your bank account tomorrow. So we're not promoting you becoming a millionaire from doing nothing else other than exercising, meditating, working
That's
3
not
hours a day.
We're not giving financial advice to say go and exercise and then you can retire
I
wealthy.
can just see the headline saying, financial advisor says become a millionaire through the best investment strategy yet, exercise and waking up early.
I suppose it would be a good...
It'd be catchy.
good trial.
Give it a go. Well, you give it a go and tell us how you go, okay?
Okay, I'll try my best. I won't say no to that. Okay, so there's a couple of other things, and I didn't go and get more facts and stats on this, but again, I just thought it was interesting that a lot of millionaires eat healthy, they meditate, they set their daily goals, they read, they take ice baths and cold showers and those sorts of things.
Yeah.
Any of that resonate with you, Teneale?
Well, I mean, I feel like this is all just a lot of common sense, right? Eat healthy, don't have medical bills because you're not getting sick from living an unhealthy life. Same goes for having meditation, exercise in your life. Reading makes you smarter. It relaxes you. It focuses you in on one thing. Cold showers, ice baths, all of that. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be people on both sides of the table on that. But anything that you're doing that focuses that looks after your body is going to ultimately look after your mind, and therefore should sharpen you and make you more successful.
Which, thinking about all these things, I feel like a lot of it all ties back to discipline.
Yeah, it's a lot of discipline in all of this.
Yeah.
So
So discipline is pretty much the overlay of all of that. To implement any of that, you've got to be disciplined. If you're gonna go in early and you're gonna start early and hit the mitt, your most important task, you got to be disciplined to go. I'm not opening my emails. I'm not. This is in our line of work, right? You've got to be disciplined in going. I'm not doing anything else but this.
Yeah.
You know, and then prioritising and being disciplined and going, well, my family today is more important than work, so I'm drawing the line in the sand and this is where my priority lies today.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where it becomes difficult in the real world. And all of this stuff sounds great on paper, and I think everyone would love to live in this way.
It's a routine in and of itself, but that you're going to slip off that routine over and over and over again for whatever reason. But I think you're right that it's the discipline then of getting back into your routine and back into the things that are ultimately leading you to your goals and align with your values.
Yeah,
I think it makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And what if you're just not wired this way? What if all of this is, you know, that's not to say that you can't become a millionaire.
Will you stay a millionaire then? So maybe there's somebody can give us some stats on if I'm not wired this way, I haven't set my routines, because you think about it, when people win the lottery, how many people win the lottery and still remain, and we're talking about big lotteries now, and still remain wealthy if you don't have your routine and your...
That would be an interesting topic to unpack.
Okay, I think we might have something for another day. But for today, we'll leave it there. And I think we'll close out on what it takes to become having a millionaire mindset. Hopefully there's been something interesting in there. I feel like we really enjoyed this session, so we hope that you did. If you have enjoyed today's podcast, please put some comments to us, like the content, share it with others. We'd love to be able to help many, many people. Tune in next time for another Wealth Experience podcast. The opinions of the presenters are objectively ascertainable and are not intended to be financial product or personal advice.